Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks. With the Spain News Update, we'll take a look at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press here in Spain, and we'll also take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers. Before I begin, a huge thanks to all of the people that have supported the channel, whether it's by buying me a coffee, whether it's through the Super Thanks option on YouTube, longer term supporters on Patreon, channel members of this YouTube channel. Thank you very much for that support. Now, let's get straight into the news. And Spain's opposition leader, Alberto Nuno has decided to meet with Italian leader Giorgia Meloni to tackle the topic of immigration. And as we can see here, Feijóo to meet with Meloni to try to export her advances in immigration to Spain. I don't mind being criticised for saying it, but Ms. Giorgia Meloni, in terms of immigration, is much more sensible than Mr. Sanchez. With these words, Alberto Nuno Feijóo, in his interview with El Mundo, made his stance on the Italian Prime Minister clear. The Spanish PP leader believes that the far-right leader is a model to follow when it comes to curbing irregular arrivals, which is why he will meet with her this Thursday in Rome, according to the diplomat, and confirmed by this newspaper, as part of his round of meetings with European leaders experienced in this field. This began last week with the president of Greece, Kyriakos Mitsotakis. PP sources highlight that Italy has reduced irregular migration by 60%. Meloni has been gradually gaining influence on the European political stage since taking office. In fact, the European People's Party has been steadily working to bring her into their fold, an attempt to moderate or normalize her. So Spain's opposition leader, Mr. Feijóo, trying to get some fresh ideas when it comes to tackling irregular migration, and he thinks it's a good idea to meet with far-right Italian leader Giorgia Meloni, because, and according to Mr. Feijóo, she's a lot more sensible when it comes to this topic than Pedro Sanchez. Second piece of news now, and a surprising piece of news, for me at least, and it is that there are more than 114,000 women involved in prostitution in Spain, and 80% at risk of trafficking. At least 114,576 women are involved in prostitution in Spain, with 80% of them at risk of being trafficked for sexual exploitation and 8.5% at high risk of trafficking. The regions with the highest rates of prostitution include the Balearic Islands, Catalonia and Valencia, according to the first results of the macro study on trafficking, sexual exploitation and prostitution of women, a quantitative approach. Equality Minister Ana Redondo shared some of the findings of this macro study during a press conference following the Council of Ministers on Tuesday. The pioneering study in Spain and Europe analysed more than 645,000 prostitution ads published online and concluded that 0.56% of women over 18 in the country are in prostitution contexts. So there we go, close to 115,000 women in Spain involved in prostitution, with the highest rates of prostitution in this country found in the Balearic Islands, Catalonia and Valencia. And what could be the reasons for that? Tourism perhaps? I don't know, just putting it out there. And the final piece of news we'll look at today on the topic of climate change and extreme temperatures here in Spain. And as we can read here, more than 50 days of extreme heat in Valencia this summer, the impact of climate change on cities. Although this summer hasn't felt as scorching as the previous two record-breaking years in Spain, several studies published in recent days still highlight the exceptional heat experienced this season, worsened by climate change. The latest report released this Wednesday shows that 30 million people in Spain, over 60% of the population, experienced at least 30 days of potentially hazardous heat for human health between June and August. These temperatures, according to an analysis by Climate Central, a US-based organization of scientists and communicators, are 3 times more likely due to global warming. Spain ranks second in Europe, only behind Italy in terms of the number of people exposed to this dangerous heat. In southern Europe, temperatures were 1.54 degrees Celsius higher than the average of the last 30 years. Valencia ranks as the second city in southern Europe with the most days of heat that can only be explained by climate change. 52 days throughout June, July and August, second only to Rome, 64 days, and tied with Malta's capital, Valletta. So 52 days of continuous extreme heat recorded in the city of Valencia this summer, and it's second only to Rome when it comes to those hot days. So if you are living in the city of Valencia, let me know how you dealt with those hot days over the summer. Let me know in the comment section below and your tricks to stay cool. Now let's have a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers. One here from Valerie. Hi Stuart, I don't know if you are aware that the mic covers your mouth when you are speaking. I'm slightly deaf and I lip read, so I miss some of your conversation. Sometimes it is slightly lower and that makes it easier. I love your program and enjoy hearing about what's happening in Spain. Regards from Mary in West Yorkshire, England. Yeah, Mary, thanks for the comment, and I apologise to you and other people out there that rely on lip reading when watching these videos, because in yesterday's live stream, I might have had the microphone too high and covering my mouth. The reason I might do that during live streams and not during this type of video is because in this type of video, I can alter the sound in post-production, but I can't do that with the live stream audio. So I try to have the microphone as close to my mouth as possible during those live streams. But I'll keep that in mind for this Thursday's live stream, Mary, and hopefully it won't be an issue. Stay tuned. One here from Citizen of the Earth. Wow, had no idea about those prohibitions on free speech. I'm lucky they didn't arrest me the first week in Spain. Yeah, Citizen, thanks for the comment, and obviously referring to the famous Ley Mordaza or gag law here in Spain that was brought in around 2014-2015, I believe, by the Rajoy government. And they brought in this law because of all of the protests that had sprung up in Spain as a result of the financial crisis and the poor management of that crisis by government. And the main objective of this law was to shut people up and stop them protesting. And numerous people have been convicted here in Spain because of this law over the last 10 years or so. As we can see here, around 150 artists, rappers, Twitter users, journalists, and politicians have been convicted of crimes of opinion. A search for convictions reveals that the number of people punished in Spain for colliding their right to freedom of expression with crimes classified in the penal code, such as insulting the king, mocking religious feelings, or glorifying terrorism. Now the government intends to reform them so that they do not carry prison sentences, and Unidas Podemos proposes to abolish them completely. That article was published in 2021, and we're still waiting for changes to this gag law. And during the pandemic, the gag law was used to great effect here in Spain by the current government to keep people quiet. So yes, you have to be careful what you say here in Spain when it comes to insulting politicians, when it comes to insulting the king, or when it comes to insulting the Catholic religion. Because believe me, there are groups of lawyers out there just waiting for people to say something bad against that organization. One here from Kaz. Your videos remind me of Clive James back in the day. Great content and said with a bit of tongue-in-cheek too. Referring to the Malaga segment. I was in Malaga a week ago and didn't see one hornet. All shops and cafes and restaurants were very cool, air conditioning fully on. Enjoyed this video. Yeah, Kazam, thanks for a comment, and referring to a comment that we saw on the channel the other day, somebody complaining about their recent trip to Malaga, or at least I think it was a recent trip to that city, complaining that there were too many hornets about the place, or too many wasps, if you like, and also saying that the air conditioning couldn't be lowered below 27 degrees Celsius. And that was just too hot for this person, and they said they're never going back to Malaga. But you, on the other hand, were in Malaga a week ago and didn't see a single hornet and thought that the air conditioning was too cool. So who do we believe? And thanks for the comparison with Clive James. Personally, I don't see it. Maybe it's an accent thing, but I would love to have the comedic ability and wit of the late Clive James. One here from FRGV. Anecdotally, the Venezuelans I know, 10 or so, are all excellent people, educated and hardworking. Some have businesses, best pizza in Alicante to our palate. Some work for others. Can't help to see this immigration as very positive for our country. Yeah, FRGV, thanks for the comment, and referring no doubt to an article that we saw the other day about the number of Venezuelans who have come to Spain over the last 8 years or so, part of the Venezuelan diaspora that don't want to live under the Maduro regime. And I'll say also, anecdotally, of course, that the Venezuelans that I have run into here in Spain or Madrid over the last few years are also fairly decent, hard-working people. Lots of businesses here where I live on the outskirts outskirts of Madrid have been opened by Venezuelans over the last 8 years or so. In fact, the place that I have my breakfast 2 or 3 times a week is run by Venezuelans. And I must say the coffee is pretty damn good. And the final comment here from Michael: why doesn't Spain just close down Ceuta? What is the motivation for keeping it open? Same argument for Gibraltar. Yeah, Michael, thanks for the comment, and what a fantastic idea. If a place or territory is giving us too much bother, like Ceuta or Gibraltar at the moment, we just shut them down. Don't worry about the 85,000 people currently living in the city of Ceuta. They'll be alright. They can move somewhere else. And the same goes for Gibraltar, as you point out there. If the negotiations between Spain and the UK are just too complicated, shut it down. Bring in the bulldozers, and that's it. On that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you have anything to add to the conversation today, the comment section is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.